Good morning again. Today I started with 2 hours of measurements on the scout cases, on the cam covers and on OM 741 covers and on this cover. That should be the same, the timing part, as on the 648 big base and on Sport Scouts. They have the same timing part. But what I could see by measuring the heights, they are all different. On the original cam case we have 0.2 millimeters differences. On the cover we also have differences. So I ended up measuring every bushing, marking every bushing, the front one, the timing case part, the cover part, and I got to the following conclusion. I could not imagine that when I measured the play of my cams and calculated the width of these bushings that I was making. So what I could see, comparing to an original cam cover like this, I will put the camera close. So what I could see here is that on the OM cover I was measuring using a straight part of steel, this distance here, and the distance of our German-made cover, and the distances are way smaller here, 1 millimeter smaller. So I was calculating the play with this cover because I thought it might be a little bit different. Because I was making these bushings narrow, as the play was showing me with the reproduction cover, I could see that my lobe is touching, first touching in this spacer here, and then also touching the cam follower. And this will never work like this. But I came to the solution to use two treated spacers that are very good when you have oil over there. Sometimes I use on stock cases too, to make the right play over there. And now the cam is turning nicely. Nothing hits anymore. Not the lobe in the crankcase, not the gear on the cam followers. So I was making the complete calculations here. I'll show them to you. These are all the heights, for the heights, yes, between the crankcase surface and the bushing. I did it like this, put a straight line of steel and measured the distances between them, and you can see on the OM there are some differences. The bushings I was making in the German case are exactly the same height, so this is a tolerance that is probably permitted, because you use also some spacers if you want. So this is the crankcase to the bushing distance. Then I took the timing cover surface to the bushing, all measurements, the OM 741 and our case here, our cover here, and you can see it's a big difference between the OM height and this new casted cover that has much less distance over here, and also a big difference between them. The cams are both have the same width, so it should be the same play and they should be in the same height. So what I have to do now is to, okay, having this distance, sorry, from the crankcase to the bushing and having the distance between the cover and the bushings, I was calculating the total distance and play we have, and this is the OM741. It has 22 and 22.4, and the 648 has 22.4 also on one and 21.8. That's very little. Also the OM will need some adjustments because our cams have 22.2, so it will never fit here in the 21.8, and also it will never fit in the 22 measurement over here. So for this I was calculating now the cam width. I put also the 1mm spacers in the back. It's two spacer of 0.5 millimeters, and I came to a total width of 23.2. Now, taking out of the distance, total distance of the front cam and the rear cam, I got that I have to machine the cover with 0.4 millimeters deeper and 0.8 millimeters on the front cam deeper. How can I do that? Let's have a look on the cam cover. To me it looks like the bushings are the same dimension as on the stock ones, the width I mean, here the side plate like this. They are the same width, only the castings were machined higher than they should be. So now I wanna press out the bushings and try to machine the cover so that it is perfectly straight and parallel with the surface, that you cannot do by hand or with grinder or with anything like this. So I'm thinking to turn this on a lathe and do that shortening in a machine. What I want to do now is heat up the part and take out the bushings so I can machine from this casting the desired measurement off, and then we should see how we can synchronize this oiling holes with what will be over then. So I will first try to demount this before I put it in the oven, and then heat it up and press out these two bushings. When I'm depressing bushings from cases, because now the bushings are not cold, it should take a higher temperature than 120 degrees, so probably I got to 150, 160, 140 is quite a big variation here, 190. I would leave it 5 more minutes and then go to the press and press them out. I decided to measure the distance between the cam surface and the bushing seating surface, just to check the machinist after his machining that we have the right distance. But when doing that, I could see that also the surface of the bushing is not straight to this other surface, and this is not good. Another problem I found here, and I hope it's just the surface and not the hole is made wrong. I will keep this in place with one hand. So this is one side. You can see there is a bigger play. This is the other side, and it has no play. So what does that mean? Is that the hole was drilled like this. The worst case scenario, and the best case scenario is that it was made on a milling machine and they didn't adjust properly the part. Now I have to check this also on the other side. After half an hour of thoughts of what is wrong with this cover and how it could be made to really fit, so what I discovered by pressing in these bolts here just a little bit so they sit tight without any play, I discovered that one of the holes was drilled wrong, and after it was drilled wrong they was machining them so that the bushing is sitting nice, but actually the bushings were a little bit, quite a lot in the wrong angle, so they are not parallel. And I could also see that when I was mounting the cams with the cover, that it's rotating very bad. Also in one side they were rotating good, in this side they were rotating good, but when you put them together it's not matching. So how I discovered, I was also checking the holes, and what I could see is that this is a rough measurement, but anyway, on the basis we have 88.18, and as we go up it's 88.4, so this is a lot. 0.3 millimeters difference on such a short distance. So what I will do now, I got suspicions about all the holes. I will check all the holes if they are parallel on this, because these ones are not. I will think about how to match together these holes, make a bigger hole where the hole is wrong, and come with a bigger bushing to fit the aligned hole that we will drill after this. But for this it will be a lot of preparations. So I will time lapse the rest of my measurements here and things. But what I wanna also do is machine two. Now I got suspicions also about the crankcase. And just to be sure, I want to put two bolts that are going in tightly over here and measure the distances also between them, so I'm sure at least that the crankcase is parallel, and then after the crankcase I will match these other two holes. So I will start controlling also the parts that should be perfectly, and you should depend on that they were made perfectly. But let's check everything, because nothing is perfect and everybody can make a mistake. So, and let's see how I will match the timing cover to the engine cases. So because of the suspicions on the reproduction timing cover, for the Scout. I want to check also the crankcase, the bushing alignments, because the bushing alignments and holes are not straight in the cover. So I was machining on my own little lathe a very precise bolt that will slide into, but hardly slide into, the bushing holes. It's 0.36, and again 0.36. I'm very happy with these results. I'm not a machinist, but I'm trying to do my best on the machines, and looks like it slowly starts to show some results. Now I will slide in these bolts into the crankcase. I will put the crankcase on this nice, normally oiled up surface and start measuring. Oh, they go in nicely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And now the first thing I want to know if we have the same problem as on the timing cover, because I don't think they were drilled together. So on the bases I have 82.6, and here I also have to hold it right, 82.55, 82.55, 82.52. Okay, 100 on this length isn't a problem. There we have much more. So very good news to know these two are parallel. Now I want to also check if they are perfectly 90 degrees on the cases and on the surfaces. I will time lapse that. Good news, both our cases are very good aligned, not perfect, but very good. So that's why I made longer struts, so I can measure on this length. And if I have here only 200s difference, that means here is less than 100 the difference between the two bushings, so it should be acceptable. This is very good news, because if not, all the crankcase planning should have restarted from the beginning. So now I'm sure the crankcase has parallel cams and also parallel cam follower shafts. I also measured them. What I want to do now is mount this cover on and reconfirm that the whole place is wrong. Check it on both sides. I was mounting now the cover and looking better. You can see by the free eye it's over 1 millimeter difference. So here we have a 2.4 millimeter rod that is sliding in here, and if you try it here you have no chance. And I put a 1.5 millimeter on this side, and it's also not going in, so it's all more than 1 millimeter difference in these holes made in the cover. I also tried to check this other hole, and I could also see a difference, but maybe just a half of a millimeter difference. But if I will do this, I will bore both holes after the camshafts and match the case to the crankcase. I guess that's it for today. Before doing that, I also solved a problem of planning. So actually, this brand new cover we buy, the reproduction made, didn't have the correct height for the bushings. The holes are made wrong, and it's also not planned. It's playing on our crankcase like hell. Parts like this, so it's just raw material for what we have to build, unfortunately. Stay tuned, the rest of it tomorrow. I have 8 hours now fooling around with these bushings and to understand and to measure everything on the engine if it's still straight on the engine, because the same fabricator was making the cover and the engine cases, but the engine cases are way better made than this cam cover. So probably it's the best when you buy a cover and the case to buy them in one time and assure them and ask them that they were matched together. I hope you enjoyed it. Best regards from Transylvania and thank you for watching.